Have you ever wondered why space is silent? Why, among billions of stars, we only hear static? Perhaps it's not because no one is out there. Perhaps it's because everyone else knows. When a predator passes by, the best survival strategy is to hold your breath. On October 3, 2025, our solar system ceased to be a safe place. It became a hunting ground, and the first victim, the first witness to be silenced, was Mars. Officially, you were told it was a historic event, a scientific triumph. The interstellar object 3I Atlas, a visitor from the depths of the galaxy, made a close flyby of Mars at a distance of 29 million kilometers. NASA released press releases. The European Space Agency showed blurry photos from the trace gas orbiter, where a faint dot is barely visible. They told you it was a unique opportunity to study cometary activity. They lied. What happened on October 3rd was not a study. It was an invasion, and the evidence for this is scattered across dozens of classified servers, fragments of telemetry, and panicked reports that were never meant to see the light of day. I have collected these shards of truth to show you the full picture, and it is terrifying. Let's start with what they forgot to mention in the news. The magnetosphere. Mars is a geologically dead planet. It doesn't have a global magnetic field like Earth to protect it from the solar wind. It only has weak residual magnetic fields frozen into the crust in certain regions, especially in the southern hemisphere. They are like old scars from a time when the planet was alive. When 3I Atlas approached, these scars opened. 8 hours before the closest approach, the magnetometer on the InSight lander, a mission that NASA officially declared complete several years ago, suddenly woke up. This is impossible. The device is dead, its solar panels covered by a thick layer of dust. But I have seen the log files leaked from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. At 4 in the morning, Mars time, InSight recorded a voltage surge in its circuits. This was not an internal power source. It was induction. An external magnetic field of such incredible strength passed through the planet that it generated an electric current in the wires of a dead robot. What could create such a field? A comet of ice and rock? No. Comets are magnetically neutral. To cause such a reaction at a distance of nearly 30 million kilometers, the object must have a magnetic field 1,000 times stronger than Jupiter's, or it must be directionally emitting energy. This was not a random magnetic storm. It was a scanning pulse. 3I Atlas X-rayed Mars through and through like an X-ray machine scanning a suitcase at the airport. It was looking, and it found something. Or someone. The next piece of evidence is the behavior of Phobos. Phobos is a doomed moon, a chunk of rock slowly spiraling down to Mars. Its orbit is calculated with millimeter precision. We know where it will be in 100 years. But on October 3rd, Phobos shuddered. Data from the laser altimeter on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO, shows an anomaly. At 10:15 Universal Time, Phobos suddenly shifted from its trajectory by 12 meters. 12 meters. It seems like a trifle on a cosmic scale, but from the perspective of celestial mechanics, it's a catastrophe. To move a moon weighing trillions of tons requires a colossal force. The gravity of 3I Atlas is too weak for that. The only explanation is gravitational resonance, an artificially created gravitational wave. Imagine a technology that allows you to manipulate gravity as easily as we manipulate radio waves. The object used Phobos as a calibration weight. It pushed it to test its systems before the main event, before arriving at Earth. But the most frightening thing was happening not in orbit, but on the surface. The Perseverance rover, our most advanced robot, was in the Jezero crater. Its mission is to search for signs of ancient life, but on that day, it found something else. Its microphones, designed to record the sounds of wind and laser operations, recorded a sound that does not belong to this world. I have listened to this audio file. It's not wind. It's not the mechanical noise of wheels. It's a hum. A low, rhythmic, vibrating sound at a frequency of 18 hertz. This sound was not coming from the atmosphere. It was coming from underground. The vibration was transmitted through the rover's chassis directly to the microphones. The planet was vibrating. Why did Mars start humming at the exact moment of the 3I Atlas flyby? Geologists will tell you it's a Marsquake caused by tidal forces. A lie. Marsquakes are short, sharp jolts This hum lasted for exactly 4 hours and 12 minutes, the time the object was in direct line of sight. It was resonance. The object in orbit was sending a signal, and the bowels of Mars were responding. What's down there? We think we know. Ice, rock, maybe salt water. But what if we're wrong? What if, beneath the surface of Mars, there is an infrastructure we don't even suspect? An infrastructure that has been sleeping for millions of years and woke up only when it heard its own? The official reports are silent about what happened to the atmosphere. The MAVEN spacecraft, which studies the loss of Mars's atmosphere, recorded a catastrophic drop in pressure in the upper layers. Usually, Mars loses its atmosphere slowly, molecule by molecule, under the action of the solar wind. But on October 3rd, there was an implosion. A huge volume of gas, argon, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, was instantly torn from the planet's gravitational field and pulled into the tail of 3I Atlas. This was not erosion. This was refueling. The object passed through the upper layers like a whale swimming through plankton and inhaled the Martian air. It took the volatile substances necessary for its engines or life support systems. It used Mars as a free gas station on the highway, and no one at NASA dared to call it by its name. They called it an anomalous interaction with the solar wind. What a convenient phrase to cover up theft on a planetary scale. And now we come to the detail that makes the blood run cold. The blue flash. On the night of the flyby, several amateur astronomers in the southern hemisphere, in Australia and Chile, reported a strange, brief glow in the vicinity of Mars. It was not reflected sunlight. The sun was on the other side. The glow was its own. A faint, ghostly blue pulse that lasted less than a second. Official science ignored these reports, attributing them to atmospheric interference on Earth or defects in the camera matrices. But one of the telescopes in New Zealand managed to get a spectrum of this flash. The file with this data appeared on a closed forum of astrophysicists and disappeared an hour later. But the internet remembers everything. The spectrum shows emission lines of ionized xenon. Xenon is an inert gas. It doesn't burn. It doesn't react. To make xenon glow so brightly that it's visible from Earth, you need energy comparable to a nuclear explosion, or to the operation of an ion engine of incredible power. 3I Atlas was not just flying by inertia, it was maneuvering. It engaged thrust near Mars, and this blue flash was the exhaust of its engines. It corrected its course, but why? Its trajectory was already perfect for a flyby of the sun. The answer is frighteningly simple. It was braking. Yes, you heard right. An interstellar object which should be traveling at hyperspeed to leave our system slowed down, insignificantly, by fractions of a percent, but enough to change the arrival time at the next point, to Earth. It synchronized its clock. It adjusted to us. After the Mars flyby, 3I Atlas changed. Before Mars, it was a cold, dark object. After Mars, its infrared signature increased threefold. It heated up. It woke up. The interaction with the red planet triggered internal processes that had been dormant for billions of years. Mars was the ignition key. What did it leave behind? The Tianwen-1 orbiter of the Chinese Space Agency stopped transmitting data 2 days after the flyby. The Chinese are silent. The Al-Amal probe of the United Arab Emirates went into safe mode due to a software glitch. The two probes that had the best view of the event went blind. This is not a coincidence. This is a cleanup of witnesses. The object released a cloud of microparticles as it passed. We call it a comet's tail, but these particles don't behave like dust. They have an electrostatic charge. They stuck to the Martian moons and to the orbiters themselves, causing short circuits. It was an electronic warfare weapon, passive but effective. A cloud of smart dust that disabled the observers. Now, as I speak these words, 3I Atlas is approaching us. It carries Martian dust on it. It carries Martian gas in its tanks. And it carries the knowledge that there are planets in this system that can be used. Mars couldn't defend itself. It's dead. It's just a resource. But Earth is alive. Earth is noisy in the radio band. Earth glows at night with cities. We are screaming about our presence. And 3I Atlas heard that scream. What it did to Mars, scanning, resource extraction, braking maneuver, is a standard protocol. The protocol of a scout before landing. Mars was just the first page of the report that is now being written about humanity. And this report will not have a happy ending. Look at the night sky. Find Mars. It looks the same as always, a red dot among the stars. But know this, it is now a crime scene, a place where an ancient machine stopped to refuel before moving on to its real target, to us. Have you heard of the silence of the universe? The Fermi paradox? Where is everybody? They are not hiding. They are just waiting for us to become interesting enough to be harvested, and it seems that time has come. Mars is silent because it has nothing to say. It has already given everything it had. And us. We still think we are the masters of this system. We still think the laws of physics are on our side. But physics changed on October 3rd, and now we live in a new reality. A reality where we are not alone, and our neighbors have not come in peace. They have come with empty holds. You are listening to the sound of a planet screaming. This audio file was leaked from the Deep Space Network antenna in Canberra, Australia. It was recorded on October 4th, 2025, the day after 3I Atlas departed the Martian system. NASA will tell you this is solar wind interference. They will tell you it is a sensor glitch. But ask yourself, does solar wind sound like a pattern? Does a glitch repeat itself in a prime number sequence? This is the Echo Mars left behind, and it tells a story that is far worse than just atmospheric stripping. We need to talk about the blue flash. Amateur astronomers in the southern hemisphere reported a strange, transient optical phenomenon on the night of the flyby, a faint blue pulse emanating from the direction of Mars. Not reflected sunlight, not aurora, luminescence. The official explanation? A micrometeoroid impact on one of the Martian moons. A convenient lie. The spectral signature of that flash, captured by a private telescope in New Zealand and uploaded to a dark web form before being scrubbed from the internet within hours, shows lines of ionized xenon. Xenon. Mars has trace amounts of xenon in its atmosphere, sure, but to get a flash that bright, visible from Earth with amateur equipment, you would need to ionize the entire upper atmosphere simultaneously. You would need an energy source equivalent to a planetary-scale particle accelerator firing into the sky. The energy required to produce that signature is measured in petajoules. That is millions of lightning strikes concentrated into a single pulse. No natural process on Mars can do that. The planet is geologically dead. Its core is frozen. Its volcanoes are extinct. There is no mechanism. 3I Atlas didn't just pass by Mars. It scanned it. Deep scanned it. The blue flash wasn't an attack. It was a data retrieval beam. A high-energy ping designed to penetrate the crust and map the subsurface in 3 dimensions. Think of it like a medical MRI, but instead of magnetic fields, it used concentrated ion beams. And the response? Silence. The object found nothing alive, nothing useful, just a cold, dead husk with frozen aquifers and dormant geology. So it moved on. But here is where it gets terrifying for us. Because when it pinged Earth during its approach in late November, it got a response. On November 11th, our own magnetosphere rang like a bell. We felt it here. The auroras appeared as far south as Texas and as far north as southern Australia. The grid fluctuated. Birds lost their navigation. Whales beached themselves on coasts around the world. The official explanation was a coronal mass ejection from the sun, but the solar observatories showed no such event. The sun was quiet. The disturbance came from somewhere else. The object pinged Mars, found silence, and took a sip of atmosphere for the road. It pinged Earth, found a chaotic, noisy, energy-rich civilization, and it slowed down. That is the detail they are hiding. The trajectory data shows a deceleration. A braking maneuver executed with surgical precision. The object adjusted its velocity by 0.03%. That sounds small, but at interstellar speeds, that is a massive delta V. It requires energy. It requires intent. Why would an interstellar traveler hit the brakes unless it found a destination? Mars was the control group, the empty petri dish. We are the experiment. And the data from Mars told the object everything it needed to know about what to expect when it reaches us. The chemical composition of our atmosphere, the strength of our magnetic field, the density of our ionosphere, The object is reverse engineering our defenses in real time. It tested the protocols on a planet that couldn't fight back. Now it knows exactly how much force it needs to apply. And then there is the debris. Following the Mars flyby, the debris field trailing 3I Atlas changed composition. Before Mars, spectroscopic analysis showed it was mostly water ice, carbon dioxide ice, and trace silicates, standard cometary tail. After Mars, the spectrographs operated by the European Southern Observatory picked up complex aluminum silicates, processed clays, and crystalline iron oxides. These are not interstellar materials. These are Martian materials. It didn't just strip gas. It dredged the surface. It took physical samples of the Martian regolith, soil, dust, minerals that have been sitting on the surface of Mars for billions of years. Imagine a probe that scoops up a piece of a planet, analyzes it on board, and then decides whether the planet is worth a closer look. Mars failed the test, or passed it, depending on your perspective. It was deemed irrelevant, a dead end, a fossil. But the act of sampling tells us something crucial. The object is not just observing, it is collecting, it is archiving, it is building a database of planetary chemistry. For what purpose? We don't know. But the fact that it felt the need to physically touch Mars, to take a piece of it, suggests a level of thoroughness that is chilling. But the debris trail also tells us something else. The object is leaking, not fuel, it is leaking biology. The leaked documents from Project Paimon, a classified astrobiology working group within NASA, hinted at organic signatures in the tail of 3I Atlas detected by the James Webb Space Telescope, complex carbon chains, amino acid precursors, structures that resemble the building blocks of proteins. Before Mars, these signatures were faint, background noise. After Mars, they spiked. The concentration increased by a factor of 40. Did it contaminate Mars? Did it drop a payload? Did it seed the planet with something that will lie dormant in the frozen soil for millennia, waiting for conditions to change? We might never know, because the rovers are silent. Perseverance stopped transmitting science data on October 7th. The official explanation is a software update, but software updates don't take 2 months. The orbiters are in safe mode. The Trace Gas Orbiter, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, even the HOPE probe from the UAE, all reporting minimal functionality. The eyes we had on the red planet have been blindfolded. Either they were damaged by the interaction, or they were shut down deliberately to prevent us from seeing what was left behind. But we can deduce the truth from the shadow it casts. 3I Atlas is not a destroyer. It is a harvester. It is a prospector. It is a gardener. It visited our neighbor, stripped it of atmospheric resources, mapped its dead secrets, sampled its geology, and determined it was not worth further investment. It treated an entire planet like a roadside vending machine. Insert gravity, extract materials, move on. And now it is approaching a planet that fights back. A planet with nuclear weapons. A planet with billions of sentient minds generating electromagnetic noise across the entire radio spectrum. A planet that glows in the infrared from waste heat. A planet that screams its presence into the void every second of every day. What happens when the harvester meets resistance? What happens when the probe encounters a civilization that can see it, track it, and potentially intercept it? The Chinese National Space Administration went silent about their Tianwen-1 orbiter after October 3rd. Not a single press release, not a single data dump. The United States Space Force reclassified the orbital parameters of every military and civilian satellite around Mars 2 weeks after the flyby. The European Space Agency delayed the release of trace gas orbiter data by 6 months, citing calibration issues. These are not coincidences. These are coordinated information blackouts. They are hiding the damage assessment because the damage is not just physical, it is psychological. If the public knew that an interstellar object had the capability to disable our most advanced spacecraft, to manipulate the magnetosphere of an entire planet, to harvest atmospheric gases at a planetary scale, there would be panic. There would be questions. Questions like, can we stop it? Do we have any defense? And the answer, the one they do not want you to hear, is no. We are defenseless. We are observers. We are witnesses to a process that was set in motion long before we evolved the ability to see it. The shocking truth is not that 3I Atlas attacked Mars. It is that it ignored it. It treated Mars the way you would treat a broken vending machine. You press the buttons, nothing happens, so you move on to the next one. Mars was tested, sampled, deemed insufficient, and discarded. The entire planetary interaction from approach to departure took less than 48 hours. Efficient, clinical, indifferent. And now it is our turn. The object has already pinged us. It has already received a response. It knows we are here. It knows we are active. And it has adjusted its trajectory to get a closer look. The question is not whether it will interact with Earth. The question is what form that interaction will take. Will it be another quick scan and sample, or will it find something on Earth worth staying for? Look at the night sky, find the red dot of Mars, and realize that it is a graveyard that was just visited by an entity that does not mourn, does not wonder, and does not hesitate. An entity that moves through the cosmos with the methodical efficiency of a machine that has been doing this for a very, very long time. The silence from Mars is the loudest warning we could have received, and the grave robber is knocking on our front door. 19 days until closest approach. 19 days until we find out if we are the next sample, or if we are the next subject. The countdown has already begun, and there is no one to call for help, because in the vast, indifferent ocean of space, we are alone, and we have just been noticed.